What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'll be your host and producer this afternoon, Logan Landers. And of course, it's our weekly Atlanta Falcons report. Helping me out today and talking about the Dirty Birds, coming from the 901 originally, but doing some great work out there in Douglasville, Georgia, is Mr. Football himself, Vincent Turner. Vince, how you doing this afternoon, man?
Hey, how you doing, man? Go Falcons. I guess
Yes,
I'm
sir.
gonna do the swag like Cornel. So, hey, swag nation.
Hey, sir. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And the man who's always the most best dressed to impress, Mr. Cornel Hardy. Cornel, glad to have you back on the program, man. How you been?
Glad to be back, man. Glad to be back.
We are
Falcons
glad to.
coming out, bro.
You know,
Falcons.
they are. The momentum has been looking great for Atlanta here. Before we talk about it, guys, if you enjoy the episode, like, follow, share, and subscribe, Facebook and YouTube every single week. Well, guys, let's talk about last week. We'll do a little recap of Week 9, and then we'll get into their upcoming matchup with the New Orleans Saints. So, Vince, I know you talked about it a little bit earlier in the program, but just give your thoughts on the Falcons win this past week, 27-21 over the Dallas Cowboys. How did you think that Atlanta looked in that game? And Kirk Cousins, he's got the city of Atlanta basically in the palm of his hands right now. He's been doing great for the most part. 222 for yardage and 3 touchdowns. Can't ask for much more out of that.
I'm gonna say what Mr. Hardy said. This team is starting to round into a very good football team. Playoffs. The sky's the limit. Kirk Cousins is who we thought he was. Look like he's starting to get healthy. I've been more impressed in the players they brought in. Donnell Mooney. The other gentleman, his name slips my mind. The other wide receiver out of Clemson. What's the name, Cornell?
Hodge as well.
Yeah,
yeah. But the other receiver out of Clemson. I can't think of his name right now. And of course, B. John Robinson is playing at a high level, and then Caden Ellis.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I take from the game from last week. 13 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, 3 tackles for losses. Can we say Pro Bowl? And going to New Orleans is like Mr. Hardy said on some previous episodes. He said that they will wrap up the division on Sunday. He did predict that. So I'm going to let him have the floor. And before I let him have the floor, to the New Orleans Saints fans, who that nation? After 2 games this season, I got some calls from some of your fan base. And you told me point blank that the Saints were going to win the division and that y'all might be another team that hosts the Super Bowl on your home field. I told you, please, will you get it together? It's only 2 games in the season. You did put 40 points on the Cowboys, but I told you that it's a long season. And look where we at today. New Orleans is 2-7. The head coach is fired, and they'll play 3 different people at the quarterback position. To you, Mr. Hardy.
I'm gonna say it like this: Kirk Cousins is playing impressive in his career against the Saints. Let's just talk about this. A career against the Saints. He has a 109.5 quarterback rating against the Saints. He only played them 6 times. He has thrown 13 touchdowns and had 3 INTs against the Saints. But let's not forget, in 2020, January 5th, they beat the Saints in a wild card game 26-20 when he threw the touchdown to the tight end. Kirk Cousins owns them. Like Aaron Rodgers tell the Chicago Bears, I own you. Kirk Cousins owns the New Orleans Saints. And you know, as much we love the gospel song, when the Saints go marching in, they ain't marching on Sunday, baby boy. No, sir. Kirk Cousins is coming in, and he's coming to handle business. Period, point blank. And let's not forget about the Minneapolis Miracle, too. Even though it wasn't Kirk Cousins, 2017, 2018 playoffs, when Case Keenum threw that 61-yard pass to Stephon Diggs, and they won the game at the end of the game. So pretty much, I'm just saying, man, the Saints, they got too much going on. Dennis Allen is fired. Let's not talk about Marshawn Lattimore. He just got traded to the Commanders to a winning team. They ain't got no defensive back as well either. So, hey, Saints, y'all in my prayers. However, we coming to Louisiana to eat some gumbo, and we coming to handle our business in the Superdome. Well, Mercedes Dome, wherever they call it. I don't know what they call it now, but anyway. It doesn't matter to me.
It don't matter the name of the arena, name of the stadium. The results still going to be the same. Is that what you're saying?
The results still going to be the same. And like I said previously before, if the Falcons, this is the day we talked about this on many times before, November the 10th. If we can beat the Buccaneers, we beat the Buccaneers twice. We have also beaten the Carolina Panthers once. We don't play them until January the 5th of next year. It doesn't mean a hill of beans to us. But we already beat the Saints, and now we beat the Saints this Sunday. Technically, we don't want a division because we done swept everybody except Carolina Panthers, and we're not thinking about them as well. So basically, Falcons gonna come in. They're gonna handle their business. It's gonna be a statement game, and what I mean by that is they're gonna rack up the points up on that. They're gonna rack up the points. They're gonna show them. The Falcons gonna show to America who they are, who they really are. These fourth quarter heroics that we've been having in the past previous games, it's not going to happen. They're going to start in the first, second, third, fourth quarter, and they're going to bust their behind. I forgot we on live stream, so I'm not going to say the LPC stuff. I'm just excited because I'm going down. I'm supposed to be going down there, man, and I'm ready for it. I'm ready.
So we talked about the Saints a little bit. We touched on it, the fact that, yes, they have fired Dennis Allen. Started off 2-0. Everyone was thinking, all right, we're back. It's going to be a good year, baby. Yeah. Seven straight losses. Just demoralizing. Derek Carr, up and down year. We saw Michael Thomas, his former wide receiver, was calling him out on Twitter earlier in the week. I mean, like you said, that team has just been hurt. A lot of injuries, a lot of salary cap issues as well. I mean, you just mentioned, Cornel, they just got rid of Marshawn Lattimore, their veteran, former Pro Bowler. I get he's been hurt as of late in recent years, but that's still a veteran in your locker room, someone that you look to. And the fact that you trade him from a team that's in last place now, tied with Carolina at 2-7, to a now 7-2 Washington Commanders team. I mean, if you're coming into this game against Atlanta, a team that obviously we know the rivalry between these two, I mean, is that just in a sense kind of waving a white flag? If you're New Orleans, you're getting a brand new head coach who, I mean, this is a big game for him.
You know, I really can say this right now, as far as from a player perspective, your job is on the line because you're gonna get a new head coach, and a new head coach gonna bring in his assistant, and he's also gonna bring in his players, the players that he gonna believe that to come in and execute on the team. So pretty much, as a player, you playing for your livelihood. And you playing for your next contract. Some of these players know and realize that, hey, I may not be here next year. I may get cut. I may get traded. Now think about it too. Fontenot came from the New Orleans Saints organization. So this basically from a New Orleans Saints player, this is your audition for the possibility of Fontenot probably giving you a 1-year contract to come play for the Falcons. You never know because some of those players that's on the Saints team right now, Fontenot drafted those players. So Fontenot is probably sitting up in the stand with the binoculars, checking out them players that he drafted, and it's a possibility. Hey, Raheem, check him out right here. This is the guy I'm telling you about that we could possibly get next year. So for the Saints players, this is your audition to possibly get an opportunity. Because Fontenot know who you are, but also opportunity to go to another organization. So if you play like trash, you're going to be dumped in the trash. So basically, you got to play with heart, play as if your job is on the line, which it is, and do what you have to do. It doesn't matter win or lose situation. Do your job because your job is on the line.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And Vincent, looking at the Falcons on both sides of the ball, if you were to pinpoint two weaknesses that I've noticed over the course of 9 games, I mean, you can't really even say much of a weakness now, the fact that they are the only winning team in the NFC South, only team with a winning record at 6-3. And the two that I've circled, that I've thought of, is the running game. It started off slow, but we've seen over the past couple of weeks, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, they've started to get it rolling. They've started to find a groove and a rhythm that we didn't see, early in the season. And for me, they still need to get some pressure on the quarterback. I only have 9 sacks in total on the year, leading guy being Grady Jarrett with only 2.5. So do you think that Atlanta is able to kind of work through those kinks this week and really get things going in both the running game and also getting some pressure on Derek Carr and that Saints O-line?
Well, I'm going to say this. They're still winning football games week in and week out. I think the pass rush eventually is going to come. Matthew Judon, who they brought over from New England, I'm going to tell you, I'm surprised that he hasn't made a much more bigger impact. But when you look at it, the Falcons are winning football games, and clearly they're the top team in the division. And you brought up the running game. The running game is starting to get better. And once it gets to that level, what do you need in the playoffs? You need a running game. That'll help you out a lot. And the Falcons have two, Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. That's really speaking volumes. That's why I say when you look at the Atlanta Falcons, they are a very dangerous football team. And how wonderful would it be having Falcons playoff football here in Atlanta down at the Benz tailgate? It's no other city in the world can tailgate better than Atlanta when Atlanta Falcons on top. Go back to the Super Bowl years. Go back to the Michael Vick years. Atlanta's at another level. Back to you, Mr. Logan Landers.
So, Cornel, I'll flip it over to you now. And, you know, the past couple of seasons, we've talked about this Falcons offense and most specifically the receiving core. And the main two guys we're going to go to, obviously, Drake London and Kyle Pitts, first-round draft picks. Everyone was looking at them since they've came into the league and said, all right, you know, these guys got great potential, but, you know, we're still just waiting for them to break out, and so on and so forth. And at some points, you would just sit back on Sundays and say, how come Kyle Pitts only has one target? You know, how come Drake London's only got 50 receiving yards? Well, clearly, we see now that Kirk Cousins has taken over this team. I get that Darnell Mooney, who's been tremendous, a great pickup, he's leading the team in receiving yards and second on the team in touchdowns, but I think Kirk has done a really great job of getting both those guys in London and Pitts involved. They've combined for 80 catches on the year, close to 1,000 yards, and 9 total touchdowns. So describe the impact of just those three generational players on the offense for the Falcons and how Kirk, as a veteran quarterback, obviously has really been able to, really just amplify the strength of both those talented receivers.
Yeah, basically with Mooney and definitely Mooney. Mooney has been very impressive, as well as with Pitts. They're getting Pitts in the offensive scheme and in the game as well. Also Drake London. But the main thing is that it's coverage. So there have been times where Drake London has been has been covered, have been double teamed. There's been times where, hey, I'm just being honest, Kyle Pitts couldn't come off the ball. But Mooney has been all over the place. And it comes to a rhythm that the quarterback has with the receivers. And it also comes to a point to where who is listening at practice. One thing that Raheem Morris said is you prepare how you play. And if you prepare how you play, you perform well on the football field. As we look at right now the games that we watching and stuff, we're seeing that Darnell Mooney is getting open. But one thing that Kirk Cousins does that I watch Kirk Cousins, he throws it to a spot where he anticipates that wide receiver to be at. When that wide receiver turn their head, that ball is right there in their face. That's why sometimes you have that ball drop because they're not anticipating the ball to come right then and there. Kirk Cousins put it at that spot, this is where he's supposed to be, and he expects the wide receiver to go get it. It's simple as that. But many people talking about we needed to draft, but we need to try to get somebody doing the trade. I'll be honest, I did say the same thing. I said, you know what? Why don't we get one of Kirk Cousins' old wide receivers, Adam Thielen, out of Carolina, and bring him to Atlanta? That might have been something that might have been a cohesiveness that we needed, but at the same time, it didn't work. But it didn't happen. But the main thing is you got a young group of receivers. They're listening to Kirk Cousins. You remember during the mini camp, Kirk Cousins took them down, I think, to Tampa with John Gruden and looked at some film and studied some film. And right now, it's showing. It's showing right now with the players.
Vincent, let's talk about these New Orleans Saints. Obviously, we've covered the fact that hot start, but they have just fallen off a cliff here. They have really just had a rough season. When you look at this, if you look at the roster for the Saints, there's a lot of talented guys, a lot of really good football players on both ends of the ball, offense and defense. But to me personally, and you can give your opinion, obviously, but it seems like this is just a collection of guys, talented individuals, but I'm not seeing much of a team effort. Do you see the same thing?
Well, I think when you look at it, injuries play a big part into where you're moving forward. Remember, their star receiver, Chris Olave, has been banged up, concussions. Really, in some games, he's been the best offensive weapon, even including Alvin Kamara. Chase Young has played well, but not to the potential that they're paying the money. Here's another guy on the defensive side about Cam Jordan has been up and down, might be getting old. Demario Davis, the outstanding linebacker, might be getting old. But you're looking at a team that overall, maybe coming in the season, they played two teams at the beginning of the year that really wasn't that good. Carolina, when they put up 47 points in the first game, and then, of course, you know the Cowboys situation. The Cowboys have not been good on defense this year at all. So I think it was a lot of smoke and screens. And then I'd say this, when you start switching quarterbacks in the middle of the season, you stick with one guy. They went with Spencer Rattler. They said he was the man, but I knew New Orleans was starting to go down that road when they took Spencer Rattler out in that LA game and they went with Jack Hayner. So there's kind of distinction in the coaching staff. Let's be honest here. So when you have that, you have all the injuries. You don't know what's going to happen at the quarterback position. You got Derek Carr, who I think is a guy, I want to say, serviceable and decent. But is he a championship level quarterback to get you over the top? The answer to me is 3 no's. No, no, no. So when you all look at what New Orleans is all about, you might have thought that your football team was a little more better than what they were on paper. And it was kind of fool's gold when you scored 47 points in the first 2 games. And now you see what has happened. And a lot of people were really one soul on Dennis Allen. Trust me. There's a lot of people out of Saints Nation that did not like Dennis Allen. They did not think he was a good football coach. Back to you, Logan.
So, Cornel, the Falcons have played 9 games on the season. They have a winning record of 6-3. They have 8 games left on the 2024-25 calendar. I'll run through them real quick. Obviously, we've got the Saints coming up this Sunday, followed by the Denver Broncos on the 17th. Then they have a bye week, and then they have a 6-game stretch to end out the year going up against Los Angeles and the Chargers, Minnesota Vikings, Las Vegas Raiders, New York Giants, Washington Commanders, and then the final game of the year being the Carolina Panthers at home. So only 2 divisional games left, as we've mentioned, and a lot of teams that aren't in the NFC South. So how do you see the remainder of this Falcons schedule shaking out in these final 8 games? Do you think that they can go 4-4 or even better than that?
I think maybe they'll probably lose. I think maybe they'll probably lose 2 games. I feel like maybe the Washington Commanders game is going to be a challenging game. You know, you're going back against the old Falcons head coach Dan Quinn. I feel that Dan Quinn going to have his team ready. I feel it's going to be a nail biter against Washington. Jaden Daniels, who I also said previously a while back that Jaden Daniels is going to be my quarterback player of the year, or rookie player of the year as well. And I also think maybe it might be a nail biter, probably against them Chargers, man. I think Harbaugh probably gonna have them boys ready, man. We know what Herbert can do, but I think he probably gonna have them boys ready. But I think the rest of the teams, I think we can go ahead and sweep them on out. But the key thing is that staying healthy. Let's just stay healthy. Let's win a division. Hey, we take a couple of losses, that's fine, but let's just stay healthy and get ready for the playoffs. It doesn't matter who come our way. As long as we're healthy, as long as we're together, man, we're going to go ahead and, possibly go to the Super Bowl, man.
And we will see what happens. Vincent Turner, your final thoughts on these Atlanta Falcons, how they've looked so far this season, and your final thoughts on their upcoming game this Sunday against the New Orleans Saints.
Raheem Morris is doing an outstanding job. We figured that with the Atlanta Falcons, what they did in the offseason, who they brought in, this is where they're supposed to be at top of the NFC South. They're the best team in the division, and we're going to probably see a playoff game. It's going to go down in Atlanta in January, and that's going to be special.
And Cornel, your final thoughts on the Falcons, winners of 5 of their last 7. You got to think all the momentum is rolling with Kirk Cousins and company right now.
All the momentum is rolling with the Atlanta Falcons organization right now. I'm very happy that we finally got it put together. I'm very happy that even I talked many years ago, bring Raheem Morris back, he was the intern, make him the head coach, and we finally got it figured out. You know what I'm saying? Raheem Morris is a player's coach. He's somewhat similar to Mike Tomlin. And like Raheem Morris said today on the radio show, I didn't want to make no trades. I love my players. You know what I'm saying? I think I got a core that's going to win games for me. But also too, Kirk Cousins has got into the Atlanta culture, the swag. He never had experienced things like this in Minnesota and DC, and he's seeing how the fans are gravitating towards him and everything, and he's sitting in the huddle, before the game trying to get him rap lyrics and all that stuff. So can I help Kirk Cousins out for 1 second, if y'all don't mind?
Go right ahead.
Can I give Kirk Cousins a playlist? You don't mind, do y'all?
Go ahead.
Let me go to the board.
To the board.
To the board. I got 5 songs for Kirk Cousins. Let me help Kirk Cousins out. To the board. I say, first, let me just go to number 4. When the game is over with, I'm gonna put on some Toby Keith, Who's Your Daddy. When I get into the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, whatever we call it, I call it trash over there in New Orleans, I'm gonna play some Master P. How you do that there, because we're gonna beat them anyway. They're gonna try to figure out how y'all beat us in our own facility. And then I'm gonna go to Motivation by T.I., where T.I. said, what don't kill me, make me stronger. Motivation. And then I'm gonna go to T.I. again, where it says, I'm back. And what I'm gonna say right this, I'm gonna go from the paper. I'll never let you down. I'm gonna shine on sight. Keep your mind on your grind, and off mine's all right. And then another part, he said, like a G, I hold it down for the town. I'm in a flash like that. Recognize I'm back. Kirk Cousins is back. And then after we get on that bus or that plane to come back to Atlanta, I'll put on that Staple Singers. Let's do it again. Let's win. Let's win. Let's win. Rise up. Woo! That Rick Flair. Let's do it. Let's go.
As y'all can tell, the Atlanta Falcons, they got the city on fire right now. The fans are packing out the stadium. It's like a party in there every Sunday. It's not just you're going to a football game. You're going to a really fun time. The Falcons are playing great. They're eating all the snacks because the prices are so cheap there at Mercedes-Benz. So things are going great right there. Kirk Chains and Kirk Cousins, the Falcons, are looking great right now. City's on fire in Atlanta, and like I said, just 8 games left in the season. Looking good against the Saints. Got to close it out. Got to beat your division rivals because you kind of have those bragging rights. But I think all in all, these Falcons have really turned the table compared to last year. And it's been a fun year so far. Can't wait to see how they're going to do to close out the 24-25 season. Cornel Hardy, Vincent Turner, thank you all so much for coming on the show today, talking about these Falcons on your weekly report. I've been your host and producer, Logan Landers. Guys, once again, if you like the video, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you have any other songs you want to add to Kirk Cousins' Atlanta rap music playlist, put it in our description as well. Put it in our comments, and we'll find a way to get that over there too. But let's get into for Vincent Turner and Cornel Hardy. I've been your host and producer, Logan Landers. Guys, enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you again on another live episode.